So it was a lot of fun, a lot of jokes. I mean, I think it, surprised everybody just because of the timing. I'm having a hell of a time out here. It's super fun. The fans are absolutely amazing. The organization is amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think, the thing that's, missed in the NBA is like how fast everything moves. It's like you don't have time to, have a kumbaya before you leave. Like it's, the trade happens and you're out. It's just, it's crazy what he has done in the league so far, and how many different notches he has still to get to. It's hard to go against like Duke, Florida, Houston. Like it's hard to go against those teams.
All right, man. Sounds good. So long story short, we're obviously going to be going over this AT&T partnership, the commercial with your former Villanova teammates, and some Timberwolves topics. Does that sound good?
Sounds perfect.
All right, man. Let's start with easy questions. Why don't you detail this partnership with AT&T leading into March Madness?
Well, first and foremost is, to be able to, jump on an opportunity with, some of your closest friends at the time of the year is, the amount of memories it brings up, the amount of, great moments we had, but also there's so many different layers to the commercial that were so intriguing to me of when you break it down. And it's just, it's a funny, quirky commercial that was really enjoyable. And when you get to do it with people that you love and care about is always a great opportunity.
Yeah, I watched the commercial, man, and it's such a easy commercial, so to speak. It fits so well just because you guys play together with the Knicks. You guys won a national championship at Villanova. I mean, how did this all come together? Like, when did you guys film the commercial?
I want to say back in January, I think we did it. And it was just funny because, that's, first time, I think it was the first time since the trade happened that I got to see everybody. We played, I think we were going there to play. And that was the first time I got to see those guys. So it was funny because like, obviously we talk every single day. But, it's a whole different change. So like being around them every single day, you get traded now, halfway across the country. And then you come back and you see them and it's like no time missed. It's like we still live together like we were back in college. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of jokes. Definitely needed a bunch of takes because of so many jokes. I think we could have gotten through it a little bit faster if we were locked in a little bit more. But that's how you get the genuine, the authenticity of where we come from.
Yeah, obviously, I got to get your pick for the NCAA tournament. But before I ask you about that, like I said, you guys played together with the Knicks last season before you were traded. What was that like? Because that's very rare, a quartet like that play together in college and then they're playing at the NBA level on the same team. I mean, what was that like?
It was great because when things kind of got haywire in the game, is you have that that connection, that almost unspoken connection, that where everybody's going to be, where people are, what they're going to do, their tendencies, and when things kind of get out of whack per se, you can always go back to that comfort zone and get everything settled down. And I think having those years together, having that relationship, it really helped us in some pivotal games last season.
Did the trade to Minnesota? I know you're having a great season this year. Minnesota, you're coming off of an 8-game win streak before last night's loss. I mean, did that trade surprise you from New York to Minnesota when it happened?
I mean, I think it surprised everybody just because of the timing. The day before training camp is not a usual trade situation, but at the end of the day, we understand that this is a business. And once you kind of settle into what, you soak in what happened, you go through the emotions, you go through the process, and then you move forward. And I gotta say, like, I'm having a hell of a time out here. It's super fun. The fans are absolutely amazing. The organization is amazing. Going back to free agency is one of the teams that I was considering. So it's not like I went somewhere that I wasn't, wanted, but also that I didn't want to be at. It was a tough decision in free agency before, deciding between a couple teams, and um, in a weird way, I get to experience both of them. So I'm having a great time. I'm playing some good ball, and we have good vibes going on in the locker room.
Yeah, obviously, like I said, and like you're saying, you guys are having a great season. But was it emotional when you parted ways with New York and you're saying goodbye to your former Villanova teammates and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's missed in the NBA is like how fast everything moves. It's like you don't have time to have a kumbaya before you leave. Like it's the trade happens and you're out, and you're moving forward in so many moving parts, and you're trying to get ready that once you get time to sit down and reflect, and then that's when you kind of talk to everybody and have your conversations. But what made it easy is playing with some former teammates and some of my closest friends where you're talking every day anyway. So it's like you don't even realize you kind of get traded because you're talking to a bunch of your teammates every day anyway, and you're having the normal conversations. It's not about the business side of things.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Minnesota, you guys are seventh right now. Like I said, coming off of an 8-game win streak. You guys are getting your key pieces back now. You came back recently from injury. Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle. Uh, Is this the best that you guys have played all season? And now is this team starting to replicate and look like the team from last season that went to the Western Conference Finals?
Well, we're a completely different team than last year, I think. Just because you're changing, you're taking one person out, you're adding two different people in. So I think it's a different team. But when you look at what our identity is here, we rely on the defensive end, and I think we're climbing to where we want to be. I think we're top 10 in defense right now. We want to be top three. That's like our goal. Is I think we can be one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. And there's only 12, 13 games left, but there's not. That doesn't mean the clock's running out to keep getting better. I think you go into the playoffs playing your best basketball, and you can hang your hat on the defensive end. I think what's different with this team that is starting to click now or has been clicking for a little while is our offensive game. I think defense has been there all year, but right now is that ball's popping, the ball's moving. Sometimes you see guys 7, 8 guys in double figures we've had within this win streak, and that's the key for us is when the ball's popping and moving and shots are falling, you win by 20, 25. And when it's not falling, just happens in NBA, and you can hang your hat on the defensive end, you win the games by 2 or 3. So we have to lock in these last 12, 13 games, whatever it is, and try to get as many as we possibly can.
Yeah, obviously you brought up both the defensive and offensive aspects, and you know what it takes to win a championship. You've done it at the NBA level, you did it at the NCAA level. But do you think that is the key as far as the Timberwolves being a championship team this season is lifting that defense from a top 10 team, like you said, into a top 3 unit, so to speak?
Yeah, because when it comes down to playoffs, and then you get farther and farther in the playoffs, teams make adjustments. Teams make certain guys beat them, and sometimes shots aren't going to fall. Sometimes if you can't shoot 100% from the field every single game. So what you can rely on is how hard you're going to play. How many rebounds you're going to get, how many steals you can get, and how many easy baskets you can get. Because when the shots aren't falling and you can get out in transition, you can get easy layups and you can stay in a game. And at some point it's going to turn. And when it turns, that's when you win the games that, from the outside, you may not are supposed to win. Those are the games that you squeak out in the end and you change the series. It's going to be 3-1 versus, 2-2 and stuff like that.
All right, defense wins championships. Donte, I want to tackle a couple more topics before we wrap things up. Anthony Edwards, obviously, heck of a young player, coming off of a Western Conference Player of the Week award. What's it like matching up against him in practice every day? And if you had to compare him to a player, whether that's current or past, who would you compare him to?
Um, I don't know. Comparison is so. I mean, he's in a like a conversation of his own. Is honestly, he's so dynamic, and I think the thing with him is he's adding something to his game every single year. Everybody knows him for getting up, dunking on people, getting downhill. And then he came in this year with a mindset of working on his 3 ball, and next thing you know, he's setting records within the franchise. in 1 year, and that's just a a credit to him and how hard he works, and um, it's fun. I think every single day he keeps entertainment within our whole team, but he also keeps a level of focus, and I think being only 23, it's remarkable to be around that.
Yeah, and it's safe to say he hasn't even hit his peak yet. He just keeps on getting better. He's gonna keep getting better and better, right?
Exactly. He has so many different levels that he can get to and understanding the game in different ways. And it's just, it's crazy what he has done in the league so far and, how many different notches he has still to get to.
Absolutely. Like I said, I was going to put you on the spot and I was going to ask you, what's your tournament pick? Who do you have as the national champions in the men's tournament?
Um, I mean, it's hard to go against like what Duke, Florida, Houston. Like it's hard to go against those teams. I don't know how it's gonna go over, but I like the brand of basketball that St. John's is playing right now. How hard nosed they're playing. It's a representation of Big East basketball, and I think it's hard to go with my team not being in it. It's hard to go against the conference.
So that would be your pick, your sleeper pick, St. John's, Rick Pitino.
St. John's. I'm staying, within the conference.
Okay, that's interesting. I like it, Dante. All right, man. Well, heck, man, I appreciate the time that you took out for me today. Is there anything else that you want to get out there about this commercial, about this AT&T campaign that we didn't cover before?
Um, it was it was honestly the most fun I've had in a long time doing stuff off the court. Not only with the friends, but everybody at AT&T made it so simple and easy for me, and honestly made it look so much better than what I thought it was going to be. So I hope everybody enjoys it. I've know so many friends and family have sent it to me in different like little things they're laughing at, the little things they're pointing out, and that's exactly what the whole the goal was for me is to get it out there and have everybody kind of talking about it.